Something new that we saw this week is Southpaw.
Yes. So remember last year? What I can't really remember. What was our initial opinion like before? Did we think Nightcrawler was going to be good? Like, was there much positive press before it came out? Or,
Well, the basis of the opinions were all based on that photo. The photos that came out of him looking ripped and people being like, "Wow, this is his transformative
but
role."
I was meaning like about Nightcrawler. Like,
oh,
'cause obviously-
Nightcrawler, right?
Because,
Well,
like Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, I think. I mean, they were on the trailer. It was getting like 4 stars and stuff like that. I think.
mhm.
So I was anticipating. I thought it looked really interesting.
Because
Yeah.
like for every Brokeback Mountain, he's had a bit of an iffy one. You know, he's not really had a complete straight line career, but obviously that picked him up massively, and now all of this, literally all of the hype around this has been surrounding that sort of transformation. You know, where he's become the man. He's become a phenomenal fighter. You know, he's and just coming into the role. You know, but I mean, obviously he joins the many ranks of people. I wonder if there's been people who've gone deliberately out of shape before.
Oh yeah.
The one that topped my head is Charlize Theron in Monster,
Ah, right.
and like she totally uglies up, as it's called. Yeah.
And I think
Christian Bale, the machinist, he got dangerously thin.
Oh
and
yeah,
and American Hustle as well. He got all jowly.
Yeah, and obviously there's them what's his face, Russell Crowe, of course, Castaway.
Yeah.
No, is that Tom Hanks?
That's Tom Hanks.
Oh
Tom
yeah,
Hanks.
but it's still he got
around
really
the world.
he got malnourished really badly. But yeah, I mean obviously some films are worth getting transformed for, some aren't. Was this worth it? I don't think so.
You think that if he's going to put all that hard work in, you want the film to get him an Oscar at the end of it?
Yeah. I don't want to butcher this poor man's second name, but director Antoine Fuqua.
Fuqua, yeah.
Fuqua.
Right. What was the major film he directed?
The Equalizer and Training Day. Are
Yeah,
the ones on the.
I haven't
Woof.
seen either of those, but I mean, I guess they're similar, as in like comeback stories to Southpaw. I mean,
Nah, Training
No.
Days. That's the one with Denzel Washington and
no,
Ethan
I haven't
Hawke.
seen that.
It's good. It's kind of fun.
I've heard
It's
it,
really
but-
good.
All right, but yeah, I mean, this is obviously, I mean, people were just seeing like, oh, it's going to be another massive hit for Gyllenhaal in between Nightcrawler and then Everest, which comes out later this year, which we saw the trailer for today, before a certain film we'll talk about later on, and you know, just saying like this is going to be another one to put on his chink. You know, were people saying it was going to be Oscar? But I think people were saying that, weren't they? Like
I think
Oscar
for the
nominated.
performance, but basically nobody knows anything. Well,
Yeah.
nobody sort of knew anything about the film
Yeah.
just because of all the, you know, mishmash around
Yeah.
him. It was,
I was sort of prepared for this to be another sort of like Theory of Everything, where people mainly praise the performance and not the story or other things. I mean, the Theory of Everything was like a very basic movie. It was just carried by excellent performances, and that's what I feel like this probably is as well, because it's carried by a really good performance, a really hammy performance, and then just no flesh on the bone story whatsoever. But yeah, so this film stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Forrest Whitaker, and Rachel McAdams. Jake Gyllenhaal plays a boxer called Billy Hope who lives in New York City with his wife Maureen. I mean, you never really see anybody called Maureen. Maureen. Played by Rachel McAdams, and their daughter Leela, played by Oona Laurence, who's presumably a newcomer. But I think I've seen her in a few other films.
I'm not sure, but interestingly, Jake Gyllenhaal was part of the casting for the child, and she just totally lit up the room, and he was her like instant choice. So
Alright.
she won him over, and I think you can see that in the film. You can see the connection.
You can definitely see that good connection. But so during a match in which he wins the World Light Heavyweight Championship of Boxing, he sustains an eye injury, and Marine later on tries to convince him to retire while he's at the top of his game. And at a charity event later on, he's taunted by an up-and-coming boxer called Miguel Escobar, Magic Escobar, and tragedy strikes, and Billy must then become phenomenal, and I am going to use that word as many times as I can. He has to become phenomenal.
I'll keep count.
to rise back up and become the boxer he was after the tragedy strikes and he collapses to the bottom. He must rise higher than he's ever been. But the thing is, I mean, the best sports movie ever is Rocky. I mean, that's never going to be in doubt.
Most iconic.
I'd say best as well from what I've like. I mean, obviously, there's Chariots of Fire as well. I mean, not Chariots of Fire. What am I thinking of?
Well, Chariots of Fire. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Chariots of Fire. Yeah, I was thinking of obviously classic running, but but just I mean, you've got that sort of legion of classic sports movies that are just they are the ones to watch every time. I mean, obviously Rocky was just made every kid want to box pretty much, and every goal, even as the football film, which wasn't exactly a good film, but that captured the beauty of football.
There'll always be a place in my heart for goal.
Yeah, Santiago Munez is always in our
Apologies
hearts.
to all the Sunderland fans.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Come on, you'll understand.
We've got one in the room.
But yeah, I mean, you'll always, with sports movies, you always get that brilliant feeling of just utter like magic of the sport that's been chosen to be portrayed in the film. But this is just, for me, it's just a complete paint by numbers piece, because we thought blow by blow what was going to happen before the film. We guessed like exactly what was going to happen, and obviously we've taken a major sort of mick out of the fact that there's that Eminem song. I don't know what the actual name is, but the only thing I can remember is the fact,
I believe it's called Phenomenal.
Is that actually its name?
I believe it is.
Is that actually its name?
You know what I mean? Phenomena.
Literally, on the build up for this film, we're just like, oh, I can't wait to watch Jake Gyllenhaal give us everything and be phenomenal, you know. But and that's literally what it is. It's Jake Gyllenhaal in a very good performance, giving his all to try and carry a film which just isn't up to his standard of that performance, because it is just bland as it is just really just basic. I mean, it's not bland in a way that I said like True Story the other week was just average as hell. This is just really, it had its flourishes. I mean, like I said, for the first hour, it was okay enough. I mean, until he meets Forrest Whitaker, I was sort of entertained. I was sort of liking where it was going. But then Forrest Whitaker comes in as this sort of mentor who's, he's got that cliched backstory of, oh look, he's lost his eye in a fight, and he had to retire. He was a champion of his own. Trained an ex-fighter who was beaten by Billy and doesn't want to help Billy because he's bitter. But it's just that same story you've heard quite a few times. But I just feel like he could have been played by any. Like, why was Forrest Whitaker in there? Like, what did he bring? I mean,
I thought he was okay. Like,
I mean, you can see he brings, he's got that sort of gravitas and experience within him to sort of help carry the story a little. But I mean, I just didn't. It could have been anybody. I thought, like.
I think for these kind of roles, though, you need somebody a big draw, and obviously that's the role. That's the role that he has done before.
Don't see him,
isn't it?
I just don't. I mean, you could literally like you could have had Denzel from Fuqua's earlier film. You could have had anybody. Like it could have been anybody. But just for me, it just didn't do it at all. Obviously, Richard McAdams is in there for like 10 minutes. She's good enough as the wife.
I think she was excellent.
She was.
I did feel the tragedy.
But for me, definitely
the incident happened.
It's no spoiler to say that. I mean, it's in the trailers.
And I'm going to get to that. Yeah.
For me, the second best performance of the whole film was probably the kid. Because she was a really good child actress, and that's a really I don't think I've ever said that this year so far. A good child actress.
Yeah, she was.
She knew how to do it. She could, there was plenty of shots where it just lingered on her face, where she could show the emotion, and just you never really get that with child actors. I mean, obviously, since they are child actors, they haven't really had much time to hone their craft or be beguiled, I suppose.
Still
really.
Very raw.
Yeah, still raw, still sort of not gone thugh fully acting school yet, unless you're like 30-year-old and you still haven't gone through acting school, Charlie Hunnam. But
Whoa, shots.
It's shots fought.
Ground standard.
Ground stud. But yeah, I mean, she was really good. But for me, just the fact that it was just that so pointless, just cliched as hell story that you just know every blow, just blow by blow, how it's going to go. I mean, I do like the fact that they did try to. I mean, it was Eminem doing the soundtrack.
It was almost Eminem playing Billy.
Yeah, pretty much.
For a long time he was attached and he dropped out.
Literally, I mean, so that would have been just 8 Mile but boxing, pretty much.
Well, I think Fuqua has said that if Eminem was going to be in it, it would be a continuation of the 8 Mile, 8 Mile story. A
rap battle. Just rap battle for the championship.
Decides to box instead of rap battle.
Yeah.
I liked 8 Mile, so
8 Mile run
as
for
a
the
kid.
fight.
I loved that as a kid, actually. But so I mean, every blow, you know exactly what's. I mean, I don't think there was any weight to the boxing at all. You just didn't feel the punches. I mean, there's something about the sound design. I don't know. It just didn't feel right with me at all.
I liked the way it was shot. I liked that. They got all like proper HBO camera crews in to film the fighting, so it looks authentic TV and not like the sort of wishy, like sort of flashy. I liked that it was clear. It
was all just for me, just trying to. It was just going by the book and how you sort of film it. I mean, obviously he did that classic Raging Bull shot where it goes into him, trolleys into him, but he's sitting in the corner, just like. And you point out yourself, but I'm just like it's just everything's just hackneyed for me. It's just like that. Like as soon as he starts his rise to the top again, you know exactly what's going to happen. You know exactly what's going to happen when he steps back in the ring with Escobar. You know exactly what's going to happen when they try and throw in. Oh, maybe this will happen. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know exactly what's going to go down. But you have to try and realize that sometimes You have to change it up a little bit, especially when you could literally have a paint by numbers, make your own book about sports movies now, because it is just so easy to make something bread and butter like that. And for me, this just wasn't accomplished at all. It was just middle of the road, better than some of the average stuff we've had this year, like The Gambler and True Story. But was The Gambler this year actually?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but it just didn't have anything, special. Anything to bring it from the rest of the crowd. I've forgotten the majority of the details already, but like everything was just, I don't know, just didn't get me at all.
Do you think it's fair to say that this could have been a really interesting, like, father and daughter emotional drama, but instead it takes that turn towards the end and it becomes a sports movie, a really average sports movie?
Like I feel like this, it could have been a lot different. It didn't have to be an underdog story, It could have, but it didn't have to be an underdog story in terms of boxing.
Yeah.
It could have been an underdog story in terms of his relationship with his daughter.
The more interesting line in the film is his daughter.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like
but he still goes out there and sacrifices himself to be great and selfish.
It's like we get great shots of him just lingering in a hallway looking desperate to see his kid, and then we just cut back to bloody 50 Cent in his stupid pork pie hat and a suit just looking evil.
Those jewels, man.
Like, every time 50 Cent came into the film, I was just
every single shot he was in a different suit.
Like exactly,
a different
in a brand new costume, brand new jewels,
crying inside.
Yeah, exactly. just brand new jewels, just a brand new costume. Just completely looking stupid as you like. It was just
very lazy performance.
Exactly. I just couldn't have it at all. I just did not enjoy it because they just every time just cutting back to him. It's like, hey man, you're gonna be a fighter again. You want to sign this contract?
There's another little cliche there, obviously, with the kind of manager who's just a
he's just in it. He's just
in it for the money.
Like, and they barely develop his story enough to care by the end if he's truly his friend or not. They've got sort of his entourage in there of Billy, and they don't get much development at all.
No.
You've got the whole gym that Forrest Whitaker owns, where he's training these kids to be, he's trying to get them off the streets so they can box, and there's and sort of lead the same life as Billy's had, but that never really develops. I thought maybe they're going to try and use them as like an emotional anchor, an emotional hook, so Billy would become sort of a better man, a better person, but they just didn't do anything with that at all. They just completely forgot about that plot thread, and then I was expecting them to do something with that. Nope, nothing at all. And then there's some really horrible dialogue. Like the first 5 seconds, there's just some really first 5 minutes is just really bad dialogue, and it doesn't get much better for me. But
I know what you're referring to. Yes.
But despite the fact that there are some, they're decent enough moments. There's one, like a few shots I like, and a few, like, obviously Gyllenhaal, it is a great performance, but for me it is just, you do believe he is Billy Hope, you do believe he is that boxer, and you can just see how he's clearly put himself through a lot to be in the state that he's in for this film. But for me, it just wasn't worth it at all.
Yeah, you forget it's Jake Gyllenhaal as well. You do,
yeah.
There's totally nothing like anything he's done. We've got a former boxer in the room. Joe, how did it make you feel?
We had to put him on a pedestal.
Well, I'm just saying. Former light heavyweight champion of the world, Joe. Right, well,
I did my fights. Did my time in the ring. I don't know. I mean,
the Shaw Drunk Redemption.
Good art.
Someone make the poster. Right,
I did like Jake Gyllenhaal's performance. I mean, I did like the redemption story. Obviously, he kind of changes throughout the full film. He's really egotistical and he's angry. And the only kind of good thing that Forrest Whitaker does do, besides the old cliche mentor thing, is he learns him to control his anger and all that kind of stuff. And there's different fighting styles, and hence the title of the film. Southpaw, because you got to fight Southpaw.
Yeah. But it's Orthodox, the other one, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's your favourite hand.
Yeah, that's the way he fights. And but yeah, I think the cliches really do kind of, because from the trailer, as soon as I saw it, I remember watching it with my mate, and I just thought, well, I wonder what happens at the end. Because you just kind of, it does hit all the beats. Everything, literally everything's there. The mentor, even though the redemption story was good, it has been, kind of done. But bad manager, end fight scene, tragic, blah blah blah, normal sports stuff, and Rita Ora.
Yeah, what's all that about?
She's in like 2 minutes. Like,
she's literally in it for 2 minutes.
She's either got a really good agent or a terrible agent. She's been in 2 films this year, and horrendous in both. Yeah. We should be seeing more of her next year in 50 Shades 2 or whatever it's called. No, I was sort of enjoying it, but like, just because of how good the performances were, I was sort of really taken aback by Rachel McAdams, who I've not really been impressed with greatly. I know she's in True Detective, which Anything? No.
She does well.
Yeah.
I mean, last episode she was good. She did. I'm not saying, obviously I can't really say why, but she was good enough. But obviously, Colin Farrell's pretty much doing everything on that show. So.
I was listening to Chris Stuckman talk about this, and he said that he would have been really sort of stunned and really sort of feel the tragedy of when the incident happened, but it's in the trailer, and I think this could have been something really interesting if it wasn't in the trailer. I mean, I knew it was coming, so I wasn't really interested or excited about it at all. I just think if it hadn't taken that diversion towards the end, then it could have been a really interesting father and daughter drama, but instead it's a really average sports film, and for that I can't recommend it. Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, for every good bit it had, it just, for me, was just... It was overweighed by the fact that it was just this cliche-ridden bit of just nothing special about it. Was, I mean, I can't blame it for trying to be Oscar bait, even though people were trying to say, "Oh, this is going to be Gyllenhaal's Oscar," but
I mean, it still could be.
It still very well could be, but
it's just the film's not going to get any Best Picture nominations.
It just wasn't, it wasn't exceptional at all. It wasn't, you're not going to remember much of it in the next 6 months. You're just going to remember, remember that time Jake Gyllenhaal was transformed himself into a boxer. That was cool of him.
If anything good has come out of it, Jake Gyllenhaal is ripped now. And hopefully he can keep that up.
For Everest, there you go.
For Everest, yeah. I mean, you'll have to keep it up for Everest, yeah.
Well, not really. I mean,
I'm assuming it's done now. Joe, recommend or not?
I mean, you've pretty much seen it all before, but if you're gonna watch something rather than some of the terrible films out that we're probably gonna get onto later,
we will.
I would say go for it. I mean, it is a good performance, and there is obviously there's good bits in it. Certain story arcs, which doesn't I agree, it doesn't really focus too much on this the father-daughter aspect of it, which would have been more interesting, obviously, because it's just tied in for the sake of it, really.
Yeah.
But go ahead. It's not bad.
One other sports film you might recommend ahead of it, perhaps?
Rocky.
No.
Raging Bull.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting for. We've kind of
even Rocky Balboa number 6 ahead of this.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that more. I am excited for Creed. I will say that.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll see. Can we? I know I've told you otherwise, but can we do Inside Out next? Just because we're a bit pushed for time in this first half. We've got local music coming up very shortly, though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, So Inside Out, obviously.